This is the Consumer Snapshot for May 2013. And this month we'll dive into 3 areas. Sentiment. Here we'll take a detailed look at confidence and consumer struggle with uncertainty in the job market. Strategy as it relates to consumers' financial plans and whether or not there is just too much month at the end of their paychecks and who's feeling worse off financially. And finally, we'll wrap up this month with a look at our latest discovery on happiness by generation. Let's first take in a 13-month view of economic sentiment. Those very confident or confident in chances for a strong economy wobble in May, decreasing slightly to 39%. Now, with the up-down action we've been seeing with confidence this year, it's evident that consumers are struggling with feelings of uncertainty regarding the economy. This metric is certainly volatile, and we haven't seen any consecutive months of increase since the third quarter of 2012. Now, speaking of uncertainty, let's take a look at consumers' layoff predictions. 8 out of 10 consumers feel that there will be more or the same number of pink slips handed out over the next 6 months, increasing slightly over a year ago. So even as the official U.S. unemployment rate continues to decline, consumers seem unable to quell their concerns. So let's take a look at why this might be. The chart on this screen displays the official U.S. unemployment rate side by side with the labor force participation rate. As you can see, while the unemployment rate is in decline, so is the labor force as a percentage of working age persons. Is it likely that consumers are taking a look at these figures and coming to lackluster conclusions about the labor market? Probably not. However, I think this table exemplifies what consumers are feeling and witnessing. What they do know, what they can see, is a neighbor who has been looking for work for a year or more, and thus isn't part of the labor force. Or they have a family member working below what his or her college degree should demand, and thus is technically employed. Consumers are feeling uncertain about employment because their guts are telling them what the numbers are telling us. The unemployment rate is down because the opportunities are slim, and an increasing number of capable working-age adults are being labeled discouraged and are lost from the labor force as a result. On a more positive note, it does seem that more consumers are feeling a little more solid financial footing beneath them, at least on a month-by-month basis. Every quarter, we ask consumers about their level of agreement with this question. How often do you feel that there is too much month at the end of your paycheck? While those who indicated that they felt this was true all or most of the time paced fairly steadily against those who sometimes or never felt this way in the years during and after the Great Recession, it appears that, at least in recent months, consumers have become a bit more comfortable in their ability to meet monthly spending demands, with the gap widening in favor of those who don't feel so troubled financially. Interestingly, though, among those 25 to 34, this gap is relatively non-existent, with the challenges of child rearing, mortgages, student loan debt, etc. evident among this group. So this helps us visualize how consumers are feeling about keeping up from month to month, but let's take a look at their perspective on their overall financial health. More than a quarter of adults 18 plus reported that they are feeling worse off financially compared to a year ago. What's more interesting about this data, though, is that while 25 to 34-year-olds are the most likely to feel the pinch from month to month, other age groups aren't immune to monetary woes. About a third of those 45 and older are feeling worse off, perhaps revealing pressures of paying down mortgages, college tuitions, student loans, and preparing for retirement. A look at the U.S. personal saving rate might give us more perspective on why so many consumers are feeling worse off. It appears that while consumers may feel that they are getting better at handling their month-to-month expenditures, they may be doing so at the expense of their savings, with the U.S. personal saving rate currently remaining at lows not seen since just before the Great Recession. And plans to save aren't looking too much more positive. Nearly half of consumers plan to save just 1 to 10% of their income this year. Perhaps even more startling, 22.7% anticipate saving nothing, albeit it's a slight improvement over a year ago. And younger consumers maintain the most aggressive savings plans, which could be a sign that they learned a lesson from their parents during the recession, or that without mortgages, children, and some of life's other expenses to account for, they've got a higher percentage of bankable income. While the flaming fireball that my birthday cake has become doesn't necessarily make me feel happy, New discoveries from our analytics unit provide support that happiness increases with age. Members of the silent generation rank as the happiest in America, followed by boomers, Gen X, and millennials. This chart represents our happiness score for each generation, indexed to that of the general population. So silents and boomers tend to be happier than average, while Gen X and millennials exhibit below average happiness. Our happiness score is a composite index of the happiness levels of 10 different aspects of consumers' lives, including their health, relationships with family and friends, home, work, and love lives, religion, housing, neighborhood, and government. Looking at some of these aspects specifically, we see that compared to other generations, boomers tend to be happier with their love lives, while millennials are happier with their work lives and government compared to their older counterparts. For more on this release, please click over to prosperdiscovery.com. That's all for this month. You can also keep tabs on our latest discoveries by heading over to prosperdiscovery.com. Thanks for watching.